I'm going to talk about something today that will require me to walk the razor's edge in several different capacities. Capacity number one is to not sound like I am just dumping on the work of another tech journalist, a writer. And razor's edge to walk number two is that I'm trying to take in very little in regard to full reviews of Z Fold 4 because I really want my first impressions and my thoughts to be my own. I try to go as radio silent as possible. I'm going to break that rule with a little bit, here and there, but generally speaking, I've not watched or read any full reviews. All that being said, I'm perusing XDA developers as I am wont to do because I am searching for things to talk about, things to bring you guys, and I come across their review of the Z Fold. Now, I've not read their review, okay, but I can read the headline, and it says, "The Galaxy Z Fold 4 is the king of productivity." Now, you can imagine why somebody like me might take a little bit of umbrage with that statement. So what we're going to do here really quickly is I'm going to click on it. We're going to be very careful. I'm going to hit Control F, and I'm going to type in Surface Duo, and you can hear the sound that it makes when that's not in the article anywhere. So that's as far as we're going to go. We're going to go as far as it's the king of productivity, but the article never mentions Surface Duo, which is arguably the best competitor for the crown of king of productivity. I really don't think you can put any other phone in that category, right? You can have some other bigger foldables, but I think they're kind of going to play right there with the Z Fold. The only other device doing something different that is actually targeting productivity would be Surface Duo. This review does not mention it. So now we need to talk about what do we make of this. So since I've not read this review, I've not read any reviews, and I don't have my device here yet, I'm not really going to spend a lot of time talking about why Z Fold is really good at productivity, okay, or multitasking, however you want to look at it. I freely acknowledge that it's very good. Now, I do have a Fold 2 here, and there's not going to be a ton of changes. We could split screen apps in very much the same way. We had our bar on the side, which you could pin. Now, obviously, we don't have the new taskbar at the bottom, and perhaps that new taskbar will create some really, really good use cases, and maybe it's going to really, really make the Z Fold 4 even better at productivity. Now, we also have to, factor in the S Pen and all these things. Not going to really dive too deeply into that. No problem here accepting that the Z Fold 4 is very, very good at productivity. I would argue that in a world where this device doesn't exist, that Z Fold really from the beginning has been the best, bar none, productivity device that most people can in fact buy. But I will say I'm going to be absolutely shocked if when I get my Fold 4 here in hopefully a few short days, I find that it is better at productivity than a device like this, a device that has two distinct separate screens. And I will very, very quickly state why I think that is. In fact, I may let someone else kind of state it and then double down on that because there's a conversation going on about this. And Ike's Tech Talk, who you should definitely be subscribed to here on YouTube, in this conversation tweeted this: "It feels like the device Duo was built around multitasking, whereas the Fold, it feels like it was a feature that they added. With the Duo, it's how you fundamentally interact with the device," and this is absolutely correct. With the Z Fold, it exists as a series of features, right? You've got your different task bars, you've got your ways to drag and drop and do things like that. Boy, that looks really weird on the camera. That was not what was happening on the screen. Well, look at the one going away. That is not what I'm seeing. That's not happening in real life. What is going on there? Anyways, with the Z Fold, it exists as a series of add-ons with taskbars and with the way you can drag and drop things around. That's all great. But with Duo, it is the fundamental way you interact with the device. And launching app number 2 is exactly the same process as launching app number 1. So let's launch app number 1, and then let's launch app number 2. We now have 2 apps open. It's still just my home screen, right? I can go into my app drawer. I can scroll over to the other side. It is familiar. It is muscle memory. Most of us could probably launch apps without even looking at our screen anymore because we have that muscle memory formed. With the Z Fold, there is always additional steps. Let's do the same thing here, where if I launch Twitter, I can pull out my bar here, but if I don't have the Play Store that I want to launch next, in my pinned apps, or I don't have it up here in my recent apps, which I happen to have because I was just demonstrating this, I'm going to have to basically select there and go to all apps and then find the Play Store, long press it, drag it over, and then realistically, if I want it to be a really good experience, I'm probably going to want to rotate it so that the apps are a little bit wider and a little bit easier to use. Now, look, again, that's better than it is on the vast majority of devices, okay? No problem there, but you can't tell me that it's better than it is on Surface Duo. Surface Duo, like I keep saying, app number 2 is exactly as easy as app number 1. That is simply not the case on any other device. Now, I cannot wait to get my Fold 4 in and see if some of these things are a little bit quicker, right? Maybe they've cut down on some of the process. I know that there's more flexibility on Z Fold, right? For some of you that's going to go, oh, but on Fold, you can have 3 apps plus a floating window. Absolutely, that is the case. So take that into account. Personally, I'm good with 2 really good apps on 2 exactly the same screens. All I really want. But definitely keep that in mind. Now, there are also really cool things about the Fold where you can like switch the app positions automatically. I wish Duo had that, where I could swap the apps on different screens automatically. That would be really, really cool. But again, at its fundamental level, multitasking is what this thing is supposed to do. And why do people just seem to not know that it exists? Why do we have conversations about the best productivity devices and the device that is made for productivity does not get talked about? Well, I think, unfortunately, there are some really good reasons. So reason number 1 really has nothing to do with Surface Duo and everything to do about Microsoft and their history with phones. I was never like a big Windows Phone person. I never owned any of them, in fact, so I guess I really wasn't a Windows Phone person at all. But I know people that really, really love them. All that being said, Windows Phone died kind of an anticlimactic death, and a lot of people, I think, are just resistant to cover a Microsoft phone. Even though this thing does run Android, I think that there's just a little bit of like, who cares? It's Microsoft making another phone. They've already tried this and they've already failed. They just don't really care about Microsoft's phone. I think that's part of it. I think another really big piece of this, though, probably the biggest piece, is that first impressions are really, really important. And the original Surface Duo made a really bad first impression, okay? First off, it's really, really weird. The screens are super wide. Even when you're just in phone mode, it's just a really weird, like wide, massive screen. And people automatically are like, what is that you're holding? People see this really wide screen. And I've had people literally say to me, what is that? Why is your phone so wide? So it makes a really weird first impression just from the appearance. I mean, look at this thing. It's so strange looking. But then it comes out and it's buggy and it's really buggy and there's a lot of problems and the camera's bad and the reviews were not good. I mean, I saw sort of the silver lining in it and saw some good things about it, but those reviews were really bad. And let's be honest, tech reviewers by and large review the device when it comes out and they never revisit. And honestly, fair enough, because most of these people, they're on to the next one and the next one and the next one, and they don't have time to go back to that buggy, weird Microsoft phone. So that first impression was terrible. So most people, the only thing they know about Surface Duo is that it looks like this and it sucks. It's really buggy and it's impossible to use and the touch response is horrible. But the reality is that's not true anymore. Not only is the original Duo like so much better than it was when it first came out. The touch response is like pretty good now. It's not as good as like a normal flagship because the digitizer is just not very good, but it's a lot better. The performance, the bugs, all of these things are way, 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 way better than they were before. And Duo 2 is such a night and day different device. It's not even funny, but sadly, when Duo 2 came out, it was still a little lackluster in some ways, right? Some things still had some problems. Things like the camera, the shutter was really slow. The results were really inconsistent and not very good. That stuff's fixed. The shutter on the camera on Surface Duo 2 is, I promise to you, I swear to you, it's faster than any other phone in my house right now. It is extremely fast, and the pictures are fine. It takes like 7 out of 10 kinds of pictures. You know, it's way better. So Duo 2 in 2022, right now in August, is really good. I just made a video talking about how I put my SIM in my Z Fold to get ready for the Fold 4 for a while, and I just wanted to come back to my Duo because there was nothing about Z Fold 2 that made me want to stay there. You know, before when I went from Duo 1 to Fold 2, you know, I was like, wow, it's so smooth and the touch response is so good and there are no bugs and everything is just so, you know, crisp and responsive. That is not the case anymore. When I went from Duo 2, I just wanted my Duo 2 back because it's just as fast, it's just as responsive, the touch is just as good as on my Z Fold 2, and it has 2 screens. But again, it's that first impression that mattered. And the first impression and the thing people have in their heads, and people don't like to update their brain software on these sorts of opinions, is that Duo is buggy and it sucks. I get comments like this all the time. In fact, I'm filming this video and literally just got a comment saying the exact same thing. Maybe it's because Duo is really buggy and it sucks. You've not used a Duo lately. You've not read an updated review. You've not watched an updated review. And people, by and large, don't. They get their first opinion and they move on. And I think that sucks, and it's really sad, and it means that Microsoft has a crazy uphill battle with Duo 3, and I think that's why they've canceled Duo Go, the light, cheaper version of Duo, and they're focusing so heavily on Duo 3. They know how good Duo 2 is now, and they know how few people know about it or care about it, and they're ready to actually put out a third device and to have a marketing campaign because they have to sway public opinion completely. I feel like it's beginning to turn. Websites like The Verge posting updated reviews. Windows Central continues to talk about it. I continue to talk about it, but we're going to need more. We're going to need a phone that comes out of the gate kicking tail and a marketing campaign before people are going to accept this phone not only exists, it does not carry the baggage of Windows Phone in any way, shape, or form, and it's actually really good. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this little rant slash monologue, whatever you would like to call it. Please talk about this in the comments down below. What am I missing? Is there more to the story than just that? Let's have a conversation down there. Don't forget to subscribe if you are new to the channel so that you don't miss more videos just like this. I will see you on the next one, and until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.